What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Saturdays in the SEC, episode 154. Back for a full week 3 recap. An absolute amazing Saturday in college football. I don't know about you guys, but there was more good games on Saturday night than I had devices to watch them on. It was absolutely outstanding. It was a week. If you love points, this was the week for you because there was points being scored, shootouts going everywhere. So we're going to hop right into the full week 3 recap and then jump into some week 4 previews at the end. But we're going to start off with Florida at LSU on Saturday night. Just want to get your thoughts on this game. Obviously, as rough of a game as you can get for DJ Lagway and the Florida offense. It was ugly to say the least. 5 turnovers, 5 interceptions for DJ Lagway. When your defense holds LSU to 20 points, your offense gave them 5 turnovers. I mean, if you're Florida, your defense has been playing good enough for you to be 3-0, and you're sitting here 1-2 on the season. It's got to be very disappointing. But what'd you see out of this game on Saturday night? Your kind of main takeaways?
As a Florida fan, coach, player, all the above, you've just got to be absolutely sick to your stomach, man. It's not like you went in there and you just got blown out. They shot themselves in the foot. Once again, penalties are hurting Florida. We saw that last week again. Inconsistent quarterback play, but they had a chance to go up 10-0 early. Had a touchdown taken off the board because of a holding penalty. But you got to look at it and you say, okay, with that and DJ missing some passes and being inconsistent at times and not being able to run the ball as well as you'd like to, you throw in 5 interceptions. I'll say really 4, the 5th one, the last one, whatever. But you throw 4 interceptions essentially, and you're still in the game. Down to your last few drives, you still had a chance to take the lead or tie the game. So that's probably the most frustrating thing, especially in the building for Florida and Florida fans, is like it looks so bad and feels so bad and the end product is so bad, but you're only a few plays away. Like you're there, you're just not executing, or you're making bad decisions and you're mentally not there because you're having penalties come in play and taking things off the board. Again, with having that many turnovers and that many things go against you, to still be in striking distance within your last few drives of the game, that's the most frustrating part. You couldn't have your quarterback connect hardly any. Defense played out of their minds, man. LSU couldn't get anything going offensively. They had a couple of big plays, but other than that, Florida's defense looked really, really good. That's another thing that you grow frustrated with, is your defense is giving you chance after chance after chance to win the game, and they're keeping you in the game, and you do nothing with it offensively. You're not playing complementary football, and that's what really hurts as a Florida, being part of the Florida Gator football program and a fan of that program. Is just how is it consistently over time? Because looking back at last week's game over South Florida, you had multiple chances to ice the game away or to take a bigger lead, dropped a touchdown pass. Dropped 2 touchdown passes, actually. You dropped a 3rd down play that would have iced the game in the end. That gave South Florida a chance to get the ball back. So the opportunities are there. You're just not capitalizing on them. And that's probably the most frustrating part, is because it's not that you're just that bad. It's just you're not taking the opportunities when they're presented to you.
Yeah, because you look at this too, and like I said, you don't want to pin it on just one player or whatever. With DJ Lagway, you threw a pick right before halftime that, at worst case, you should have went in the locker room 10-10. You throw a interception at midfield. They get it in field goal range right before half, go up 13-10. So, that was even if Florida doesn't score there before half, it's a 3-point swing. Then you throw a pick 6, too. So, you basically spotted them 10. Now, I know, like, LSU could have scored at the end of the game. It was 20-10. They could have made it 27-10. They took a knee. Like, I get that, but it's like, man, you spotted them 10 points. You only lost by 10. That's not counting some of the other interceptions you threw and the other turnovers you had in the game. And a couple of these were just, honestly, you have an interception here or there where okay, the defender made a great play, or you had a batted ball or something like that. I mean, these were just bad interceptions. There's just no way around
First
it.
one underthrew him by 8 yards. The guy was there. He just didn't put enough on it. I mean,
Yeah,
threw it basically directly to the DB.
yeah. A couple other ones, I know one he threw into double coverage. A guy just, the safety jumped the route in the middle of the field. You had another one you threw into triple coverage, and the DB was under it like the receiver, looked like the receiver on the play.
Yeah.
It was triple coverage, so it was some very bad decisions, bad interceptions. He obviously wasn't seeing, and he actually made some pretty good plays in the game too, but he's just a 4 or 5 really boneheaded ones that were just killer in the game. Clearly just wasn't seeing things very well. Yeah, I know if you're Florida as a team and that defensive staff, like you gotta be like, man, we're 1-2, but I feel like defensively we're doing some great things. Like they have absolutely been good enough to be 3-0 so far.
Yes,
100%. They wasn't perfect against USF, but they did more than enough to win that game at home. Held USF to 18 points. So I know it's like you said, frustrating for Florida fans, but I think I think they're closer than what it looks like. You know what I mean? Like it's a few plays here, a few plays there. Like it's not a bad football team by any means. They have flaws, they have things offensively they got to work through, and they can't be turning the ball over at that kind of rate. But and then kind of from the LSU perspective too, they're going to be in some games coming up to where they're going to have to score some points, and they don't really have the capability of doing that right now. Obviously defensively, they're kind of in the same boat. They've been playing great on that side of the ball, but offensively, for whatever reason, it just hasn't quite clicked yet. And with every team in the SEC and college football, they all have flaws. There's no really elite teams, and there's going to be some games where teams have your number defensively, and you've got to score in the 30s and maybe even the 40s. We saw that this weekend with a couple games. So that's something that they're going to have to work through and get corrected here pretty quickly as well. But all in all, for LSU, you're sitting at 3-0, you're 1-0 in the SEC, and you got to feel good about where parts of your team and just kind of work on the ones that need some progress. And like I said, because they've got a really tough schedule coming up as well.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Nussmeier, he's not really playing to expectations of what people were talking about him in preseason. He was on the Heisman watch list, potential Heisman favorite coming into the year for some people. Had some overthrows, had some inconsistencies himself, threw an interception himself. They weren't able to run the ball, which was their problem last year. The same thing, they're 15th in total offense in the SEC. They're 15th in rushing offense in the SEC. Their defense is playing much better, like you highlighted. I mean, they're the reason that they're 3-0. So you're sitting here going into week 4, about to start conference play, and you're wondering, is this the team that we thought and expected to be at week 4 for LSU? And to me, it's not. I still think they're going to win a lot of football games, but obviously it's still early, small sample size. But if their offense continues this way, I don't see them winning many of the big games. They have to go on the road a couple of times. I don't see them winning some of those games if they're not able to get something going on offense. I mean, you could hang your hat on Nussmeier last year, but so far this year, the downfield passing game really hasn't been there. They hit on a couple, 2 or 3 in this game, but consistently they were not able to push the ball downfield. It's a lot of screens, a lot of short passes, using the running back out of the backfield a little bit. It wasn't what we were used to seeing from a LSU offense when you got a quarterback of that caliber back there. So definitely something to keep an eye on. A little, fans probably feel a little skeptical about him, but still there's belief there because they got the guys to do it. It's just the offensive line's got to be better. But at least this year you have a defense to help you out, and you're not having to score. You might not have to score 30-plus every game, but there are going to be some games where that is the case. And you're right. Right now, I don't know that offense can do it. From what they've shown me, they can't do it right now.
Yeah, and like you said, the capability's definitely there, and I expect it when the time comes, and if it's down the stretch this year, I do think there will be a time where they are able to do that. Like I would fully expect them to get there at some point, but like I said, you got a big game at Ole Miss coming up. You got A&M, Alabama, Oklahoma. Like, you got some offenses that they're probably going to be able to put some points up. And so, like you said, definitely something to keep an eye on. The capabilities more than there for sure. And I do believe it's going to click at some point. It just hasn't yet. And defensively, they've been great, but they've also been playing some offenses who have been struggling. And that may not be the case the entire year as well. So, like I said, a lot of moving factors going on right now. And I think, like I said, you're just going to come to expect this week in and week out because every team has flaws, has things they're working through. So it's going to be something just to watch the rest of the year. But, yeah, unfortunate for Florida, because I really – you can never anticipate somebody turning the ball over 5 times, but they fought and competed like I expected. I really felt like it would be a close game, and if not for all the turnovers, they would have had a much better chance to win. But no, if you're LSU, I mean, you hate to see the struggles offensively, but you just got to keep working at it, and you take the win being 3-0 and move forward from there.
100%. And then this weekend, one of the games of the year, lived up to the billing for sure. 2 pretty much unproven quarterbacks to this point in their career going up against each other. Tennessee hosts Georgia Bulldogs. And Joey Aguilar, I mean, can you talk about the absolute steal of the century from Josh Heupel? I mean, getting rid of a guy that I never saw command his offense with 100% confidence, to get a guy that came from App State. He's got some turnover issues, but he gets with Josh Heupel, and he absolutely turns into a really, really good football player. Now, still turned the ball over a couple times this game, but he was letting it rip. He was commanding the offense really well, extremely well, moving the ball down the field consistently. He stalled out at times, but you're going to expect that against a Kirby Smart defense. But I thought Aguilar played out of his mind. Underthrew the first deep ball, but it worked out in their favor. They got a penalty, and they were able to catch the ball and take it to the house. A fantastic play down on the deep ball as well to number 17. Can't think of his name right now. Deep ball to him. Don't know how he came down with that, but then he ran for another touchdown. He had several balls downfield, and we didn't see Nico do that much last year, especially against Georgia. We're not able to stretch the field, and they did that from the jump, and they were consistently doing it. Ran the ball pretty well, not as well as you'd like with a Josh Heupel offense, but the passing game was there enough where it didn't hurt them that bad. Georgia was just being typical Georgia. They're going to stay around in the game, hang around in the game. They're going to seize their opportunities. Defensively came up with 2 big interceptions. Were able to answer when their back was against the wall. Drove down both of them, scored on the first drive. Georgia went down a little bit, but was able to have some defensive stops and just answered the bell. I thought that Gunnar Stockton played out of his mind. I was told that Gunnar Stockton couldn't throw the ball down the field going into week 3. I was told that Gunnar Stockton is not the answer. I was told a lot of things about Gunnar Stockton. But from the jump, Gunnar Stockton went nuts. He tossed the ball down the field, first play of the game, and then on 4th and 6, from Tennessee's 28-yard line, game on the line, throws a dime to London Humphreys in the front corner of the end zone. Touchdown, and then completes a 2-point conversion to tie the game, wins it in overtime. Don't tell me Gunnar Stockton's not the answer. Gunnar Stockton has got that dog in him, and he's performing better than any of the other big-name quarterbacks. Garrett Nussmeier we just talked about. DJ Lagway we just talked about. Hell, I'll even throw Jackson Arnold in there. He's performing better than all those guys by light years.
Arch Manning.
I'm telling you, this Georgia team's nothing to mess with now. They're good. They're damn good. Had their back against the wall on the road and answered back, took it to overtime, and dominated that second half. I'm telling you, dude, that game got me fired up. Game on the line, 4th and 6, and you're going to trust your quarterback to throw it. I'm talking a dime. Put it in the bucket. That's championship caliber football right there. Able to come back and claw back and to get that win. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Georgia made some fantastic adjustments on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, this game lived up to the hype. I really, really, really hope we get to see this game another time this year. There's a chance we could see a matchup again, potentially in Atlanta, potentially in the playoffs. I hope we get another Georgia-Tennessee matchup this year. I really, really do.
Yeah, it was electric. I mean, my takeaway from the after the game was over, I was like, man, I was super impressed with both teams. I mean, obviously there's flaws within the game for both teams, but I walked away from that game. I was like, man, that felt like two playoff teams in a big playoff game, a playoff atmosphere in Neyland. Like it had that big fight feel to it. I mean, Tennessee obviously gets the first punches off in the first quarter. It's 21-7. But Georgia, man, is just so incredibly impressive how they don't panic. They stay the course. They make their adjustments. And you may jump on them early, but I promise you it is a 60-minute fight. You're not going to put them out in the first quarter or the first half. They're going to fight back. They make, in my opinion, as good of in-game adjustments as anybody. Defensively, like I said, just stay in the course. A lot of teams, and probably most teams in the country, would have been rattled by what happened in the first quarter, big time. They got absolutely jumped all over. There's no doubt about it. Bombs away in Neyland. They're just getting left and right. Joey Aguilar's looking like you said, the steal of the century.
Yeah.
It looks like he's been operating that offense for 50 years, the way he looked in the first quarter, starting off 14 for 14. Man, Georgia, like I said, 60-minute fight. They stayed the course. They made their adjustments. Not to jump ahead too far to late in the game, but it's like when you've got a game-winning field goal and you've got an absolute gift, if you're a kicker, an absolute dream scenario in your house to knock off Georgia, I knew the second they missed that field goal, Georgia's gonna win in overtime. You don't get multiple chances to knock them out. You just don't. Like when you're just ask Ohio State in the playoffs a couple years ago. Got the game-winning field goal, they missed it. I was like, man, you have to take advantage when you have those opportunities because you're not gonna be in that situation that often. But no, all in all, I was incredibly impressed with both teams despite the flaws in the game that happened. Like you said, two quarterbacks going at Joey Aguilar. Couple picks, but man, for the most part, looked really good. And yes, this Tennessee offense, it's a run-based offense. Like we know that the people who have watched Tennessee, it's a run-first offense. But for this offense to click and perform at its highest level, and we haven't seen that the last 2 years. We saw it with Hendon Hooker in 2022. We didn't have that in 23 with Joe Milton or last year with Nico. You have to have that ability to stretch the field and be able to execute down the field and have that big play ability. You don't have to rely on it necessarily, but you have to have that there for this offense to be at its peak. And they have that this year through 3 weeks. Now, you never know what's going to happen the rest of the way, but through 3 weeks, they have that ability. And to me, it takes this offense to the complete next level and makes it one of the better offenses in college football. It looks rather pedestrian when you can't stretch the field like you could the last 2 years. But with Joey Aguilar, I don't know, even your most optimistic Tennessee fans, I just don't think you could have ever expected Joey Aguilar to execute at this high of a level in the first 3 weeks of the season. I don't see how you could have reasonably expected that, but he's surpassed what I thought, and came away really, really impressed with their ability to stretch the field. And the more they can do that, the more it's going to open up that run game as well. And then on the other hand, with Gunnar Stockton, man, he stood in there, made some big-time throws, got hit on some pressure, stayed in, delivered strikes. He definitely answered the bell, no doubt about it. And one of the keys of the game was can he, number one, have enough time to take advantage of Tennessee's secondary, and can he let those balls rip when those routes are there? And he did that. 100%. He stepped up big time, played some tremendous. Not that he played bad early, but he played some tremendous football in this game. And like you said, man, it was one of the games of the year. Probably will go down as. And man, it's an unbelievable football, unbelievable finish. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. But I really came away more impressed with both of these teams at the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Got there later in the second half. They started trading blows back and forth. That's the type of football you love to see. We had several games like that. You talked about all the high scoring games. Another game where it was just teams literally back and forth trading blow for blow. One team would answer, the next team would answer. It was back and forth. So many lead changes throughout the game, and that was Arkansas and Ole Miss. Sam Pittman, man, the kryptonite is those one possession games for him at Arkansas. You hate that. You hate that for him. I believe he's now 7 for 12 on one possession games, or 7 for 11, something along those lines since he's been at Arkansas. I mean, that's just tough because, again, it's not like you're just getting blown out. Your team's there. You're in it. You're in the ball game. You just can't quite finish. You can't get to the finish line, and that's what it was here. I mean, really, both quarterbacks played really well. Trinidad Chambliss came in for an injured Austin Simmons, and former Division II National Champion Player of the Year last year, and tore it up. Dude's got some serious legs, but he also threw the ball really, really well. He commanded the offense really well. Taylon Green created some plays for Arkansas. Extended some plays with his legs, had over 100 yards rushing, threw plenty of deep balls. There was lots of busts on both sides of the defense. I mean, this was just a high score, and what you expect to see from an Ole Miss offense, and Arkansas matched it the whole time. I thought Taylon Green played out of his mind. I think the defenses both played a lot better in the second half. Obviously, there was 50-something points scored in the first half and only 17 scored in the second half. I think a big thing that it comes down to here was special teams. Arkansas had 2 missed field goals. They had both those field goals. It's a tie ball game. So, you end up losing by 6. You had 2 missed field goals. You had a strip sack at the end. You still were there and had a chance to win the game. That's, again, just another frustrating thing when you have a game like this and your team loses like that. You have all the opportunities. You just didn't capitalize on all of them. So I thought that, again, as being a backup quarterback for Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss didn't look like he flinched at all. This is what you expect the Ole Miss offense to look like, and it didn't skip a beat with him being in there in his first ever start. I thought it was a very, very entertaining ball game. Not a whole lot of defense. Again, in the first half, it was crazy wild. Second half, it was a lot better defense. But special teams was a difference in this ball game.
Yeah, I mean, Trinidad Chambliss, I thought he played unbelievable. Like, if you would have said he was a 2 or 3 year starter, I don't know if you would have noticed the difference. And I thought it was interesting, too, with Lane Kiffin in the postgame. They said they were super tired from this week as a coaching staff because himself, Charlie Weiss Jr., they created two totally different game plans for Austin Simmons and one for Trinidad Chambliss just in case Austin Simmons could go. So the fact that you had 2 quarterbacks that can do similar things, but obviously based on their game plans, 2 totally different quarterbacks and or 2 different skill sets as far as operating the offense that they were comfortable with. So I thought that was interesting because that a lot of times from your starter or your backup, depending on their play styles, you may not have to change up a ton. Sounds like they had to do a lot of work in that area, and like you said, didn't miss a beat at all. He executed at a super high level. Again, on the other side, Taylon Green was crazy impressive. I mean, to me, one of the number one most exciting quarterbacks to watch, and the way he handles the read option game is so impressive. Like his ball handling ability in the backfield with his fakes and the run game, he has such long strides. He covers so much ground in a hurry. So to me, one of the more entertaining quarterbacks to watch in the country, and I think a guy that's not talked about enough. So it was super exciting to watch, and like you said, special teams, the difference in the game, 2 missed field goals, and then Arkansas's driving at the end of the game to win it. They're in Ole Miss territory. Ole Miss defender gets the strip on the wide receiver after a catch. It was going to be, I believe, second down and medium. If they would have just made the tackle, made a great play on the strip, and with less than 2 minutes in the game, ended up sealing it. So, yeah, I mean, unbelievable ball game. You were talking about this game leading into it just a second ago, and I thought you were talking about the Texas A&M Notre Dame game because that was another absolute.
They would
there were
trade
so
clothes,
many
too.
there were so many games that were similar. I had to wait till you said the teams' names to know which game you were talking about. That's how crazy of a weekend it was.
You're right.
So, yeah, no, unbelievable game. Big win for Ole Miss though, getting to 3-0. Obviously, some big games down the road for them, and like I said, a little bit of a missed opportunity for Arkansas for sure. Again, so many games this year are going to come down to just a play here, a play there. A little more execution here or there. These games are going to be super tight, but like you said, just definitely a little bit of a kryptonite for Sam Pittman and Arkansas in one-score games. And part of that, I think, is crazy. Is it sounds might also be a positive because I feel like he's an underdog in most of those games, so I feel like he's doing as good as he should or maybe even better in some cases. Because, I would be willing to bet in those games. I bet he's the underdog probably 70-80% of the time in those games.
I think you're right.
I don't have a stat on it, but I know people are frustrated and expect more, and I don't blame them for that at all. But I feel like in a way, I feel like he is getting, like they always fight hard. They always compete. It's just, it usually comes down to a few things here or there, a few minor details, but... disappointing from the Arkansas perspective, but thought they fought hard, and that offense is going to give people some trouble, though. So I think they're going to be in a spot to win a lot, quite a few of the games that they're in this year.
Absolutely, and then we'll go on to another game that, like you said, was trading blows. Texas A&M goes into Notre Dame. Man, I talked about earlier, Florida not playing complementary football. You look at Texas A&M, and that is the definition of complementary football. Defense fed off offense, offense fed off defense. You look at one point in the game, A&M threw an interception. Then A&M's defense was able to hold up and force a field goal right after that. And then to follow that up, A&M scores a touchdown right after A&M picks off Notre Dame. So there were several times in the ball game. You got defense in the third quarter that had a huge fourth down stop, and Texas A&M is able to drive down, kick a field goal, and tie the game. So they were feeding off one another. When someone would make a big play on one side of the ball, the other side of the ball capitalized on it. Like I said, Texas A&M turns the ball over. Their defense holds up, forces a field goal on short field, and then two drives later, Texas A&M's defense forces a turnover, and Texas A&M's defense forces a turnover, and Texas A&M is able to drive down and score and take the lead off of that turnover. So, like complementary football out the yin-yang. The defense played pretty well for Texas A&M. There was a lot of yards, but one of the touchdowns given up was a block punt return for a touchdown. They got beat on a flea flicker, so they had to get a little trickery to beat them. But other than that, I thought that A&M's defense played pretty well. They gave up a couple of explosive runs. I think they had Notre Dame had 3 runs of more than 15 yards. But other than that, they hemmed up the run pretty well. They really didn't let them get outside east to west too much. They kept them in it. A&M's offense was able to drive down early and keep it a close game when they went down pretty early. Had an early turnover, but they were able, when their backs were against the wall, they were able to answer it every single time. The adversity that they faced, they were able to overcome it. So you got to like the makeup of your team if you're Texas A&M. To go on the road against a team like that in an environment like that and to be down early, to be able to come back and win that ball game, that says a lot about your team and your program where it is at right now.
Yeah, I agree totally. A fantastic win for Texas A&M, and kind of the takeaway for me is I feel like you got to feel really good about you were able to go in a hostile environment. You faced a lot of adversity, especially early on, and you walked out of there really winning the game on the arm of Marcel Reed, which was really the big question coming into the season. It's like we know defensively, especially under a Mike Elko team, and not, like you said, no, it wasn't perfect on Saturday night. It's not going to be at times this year, but You know what you got defensively. You went in the portal and got some studs, got some got some speed demons on the outside, and Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver, the player of the game.
Worth every penny.
I mean, you got guys on the outside you needed. You've got a really good defense. You've got a good stable of running backs, a veteran offensive lines we talked about in their previews in the preseason. It was, how is Marcel Reed going to develop? And when you're in some of these games, are you going to be able to win it on his arm? And like I said, I know it wasn't the most efficient night for him, but man, he made some huge plays down the field. Obviously, the touchdown late to win the game. His legs keep a play.
4th and goal. I mean, just like the Georgia game. A little closer, but just like the Georgia game.
Yeah, I mean, I was just came away really impressed with the way they were able to fight off adversity. And like I said, him making some big throws throughout the game was really the difference. And to me, if you're A&M, like, that's got to be your biggest takeaway. You're like, man, like, we know what he can do with his legs, but like, man, if he's taking that next step as a passer, and we've got weapons on the outside, we know we can take advantage of, or that we have the capability of taking advantage of secondaries. Man, that to me was the biggest takeaway. And going into that environment, you're now 3-0 on the season, and going in and getting a revenge against Notre Dame in their house. The way that they did it, to me, was super impressive. And I think as an A&M fan, you got to be really happy today with the way your quarterback battled, the way he played, and the development he showed to be able to step up and make those big throws when they were necessary. And yeah, this team's really fun to watch, compete super hard. And again, this was another fantastic game on Saturday night. In a night full of fantastic games, this one was right there at the top as well. But man, I mean, the drama late in the game, it was unbelievable. And for them to convert that fourth and 11, down 6 after the botch extra point by Tyler Buckner of all people, man, it was an unbelievable game and an unbelievable win for Texas A&M.
I thought one of the bigger moments. Okay, so A&M picks off Notre Dame, they drive down, they score. And then Notre Dame, this is right before half. Notre Dame's marching down the field, and they're getting inside field goal range. It's 3rd down. Texas A&M comes in with an absolute huge sack, knocks Notre Dame out of field goal range. And so it didn't allow Notre Dame to get a little momentum going into half and make it a 1-point ball game. It was a 4-point ball game going into half. I thought that was one of the bigger moments of the whole entire game because it gave momentum towards Texas A&M going into half, and then coming out of half, we saw what happened. But I thought this was, I thought early on in the day when Tennessee and Georgia ended, I was like, man, that might be the game of the year. And then that night happens, Texas A&M goes to Notre Dame, and I'm like, man, that might be the game of the year. I mean, we had 3 or 4 games of the year on week 3 this year, so yeah. I'm just so excited about what the rest of the season entails. But this was a fantastic ball game. I thought, again, that Texas A&M played the absolute definition of complementary football all game. Notre Dame's still a really good team, lost 2 games by a combined 4 points. So they're still a really good football team. It's just tough to open your schedule like that with the teams that they've had to play. However, I do want to talk about your Crimson Tide. They opened the season with Florida State, and there was, a lot of people hit the panic button, but since then they've looked a lot better. Now, granted, they haven't played the same caliber competition as Florida State, but what they look like playing looks much, much better. Ty Simpson was pretty much perfect on Saturday. He damn near completed every pass he threw. Really looked really good. Their rushing offense isn't so good, but I felt like Wisconsin was stacking the box a lot in the game. They didn't have the numbers in there. I thought that was Wisconsin was selling out to stop the run for sure. So Alabama just took what they gave them. Alabama was still able to run for, I believe, 72 yards or something along those lines, but they threw the ball extremely well. Should have had another passing touchdown, but Ryan Williams dropped one in the end zone. So I thought Ty Simpson looked really good. I thought Alabama looked really good, and this is the team that everybody expected to see coming into the season. But they're really going to be tested this coming week or next week after their bye week, going into the Hedges, facing Georgia. I mean, perfectly timed, obviously, for both teams. You would really hate to see Georgia. If you're an Alabama fan, you'd love to see this. But if you're anybody else, you'd hate to see Georgia play Alabama right after that Tennessee game They get a little bye week in between. I really like that. But I think that, we're going to find out a lot about this Alabama team after that game. But they came out and they did exactly what they're supposed to do to this Wisconsin.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, after the game week 1 at Florida State and the way that went, I mean, I saw exactly what I wanted to see the next 2 weeks. And we knew after that Florida State game, we're not really going to find out more about this Alabama team until they go and play Georgia here in a little less than 2 weeks now after this upcoming Saturday. So, but I will say, like you said, in weeks 2 and 3, they did it. They handled business exactly the way I wanted to see it. Yeah, I thought Ty Simpson was absolutely outstanding. Was on time, on target all day long. Like I said, ball was coming out right spot. Perfectly on time on the play action, making great decisions. He went 24-29. I think he had at least 2 drops I know of that were should have been catches. So I thought he was outstanding. The Russian offense is definitely a little bit of a concern because it's not anything they've really been able to get going in the 3 games so far to the level that you would want it to. Now, granted, Wisconsin, the strength of their entire roster was their defensive line, and they did a good job stopping the run on Saturday. So that's definitely something. And hopefully with Jam Miller coming back as well, that's something that adding another back into the fold, a guy with his experience. Hopefully that's something that can take a step forward as the weeks go on. Loved what I saw out of them offensively. Would have liked to finish the game a little bit stronger. You gave up a touchdown in the second. You gave up a kickoff return off a sideline penalty. A referee ran into somebody on the sideline on the flea flicker to Ryan Williams right after half. So, cost you 15 yards. They end up obviously being able to return the kick at that point, and they run it back for a touchdown. He gave up a touchdown late, but defensively, I like what I saw because they had no sacks in the first 2 games. They had 12 tackles for loss against ULM, had no sacks. Got multiple sacks on Saturday, which is great, getting after the quarterback. They were able to force a couple turnovers, which was big as well. They weren't obviously able to do that on the road at FSU, so that was good to see. But, yeah, all in all, I like what I saw. They handled their business. I like the effort, like the energy. They did exactly what I wanted to see in these last 2 games, but now it's time to get healthy. Hopefully get Jam Miller back. You get Tim Keenan back on the defensive line, which will be huge, and just from a leadership standpoint, and then have a little chance to regroup, rest up, and get ready to go in between the hedges on a week from Saturday. So we'll find out more then, but I want to see how they handle adversity because you're going to get adversity at Georgia, and there's games where you're going to have adversity the rest of the way. How do you respond when you get punched in the mouth again? It's easy when you're at home and you're clearly head and shoulders above the other team, but how are you going to respond when you get punched in the mouth? That's what I want to see on the 20th.
All right, going down to South Carolina. Vanderbilt goes into South Carolina. Place was absolutely rocking. It was a really fun game early. Both teams put points up early, and then pretty much Vandy took off with it. South Carolina's offense couldn't find anything going. Even before Lenore Sellers got hurt, they really couldn't get anything going. And then when they did, he threw an interception down there right in the red zone. I mean, they had a really good drive going, threw an interception. I will say, when he did get the targeting penalty, Shane Beamer was PO'd, and I thought rightfully so, because now you can say, okay, well, the DBs weren't covering him as hard because the whistles had blown, maybe they stopped, whatever. Regardless if it would have been a touchdown or not, it would have been a huge gain right there before half to Nick Harbor. Sellers completes a pass to Nick Harbor, or it might have been Doty, completed a pass to Nick Harbor right after Sellers went out with a concussion from the targeting call. So Shane Beamer gets ticked off there.
Yeah, they blew the play dead. Yeah.
And right after he snapped it. And so, I mean, if he doesn't score there, still a huge gain, but potentially could have been 14-14 going into half. But instead, it's 14-7. You lose your momentum. doesn't end up working out for you. And then in the second half, without Sellers, the offense couldn't get anything going. Vanderbilt's offense was hitting big plays here and there. Ran the ball well. They controlled the clock. Defense came up with a couple of turnovers. So, I mean, Vanderbilt really dominated this game defensively. Offensively, like I said, they controlled the clock, and they had some big plays, hit some big plays, put some points on the board. But this game shocked me. I'm not going to lie. I was completely wrong about this game. I was high on South Carolina, took them to cover, high on them going into the season, and they have made me look like a complete fool. So hats off to Vanderbilt. They're a really good football team. We talked about last week, they're not your father's Vanderbilt football program, and I knew that going in, but I still thought South Carolina was much better than what they were. They absolutely fooled me. This Vanderbilt team, I'm still not bought in on the Diego Pavia National Championship hype just yet, but they're a really, really good football team, and they're probably going to wreck some more people's seasons this year.
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely the surprise of the weekend for sure. And like I said, even if Lenore Sellers won. Yeah, exactly. It's not that they won, it's how they won the game and the manner in which they did so. And like I said, even if Lenore Sellers, even if that hit never happens, Vanderbilt probably still wins the game, honestly. I don't think he's making up that big of a difference. Now, I know it's a totally different dynamic after he went out, but again, after the first drive or two, South Carolina didn't really move the ball great, even with him in there, as well as you would expect it. So, yeah, no, like you said, Vandy turned it on, outscored them 17-0 in the second half, ripped 24-0 after the first quarter. And the big stat of the game was 4-1, the turnover margin, 4 South Carolina turnovers, 5 for Florida. Games like that, like you can't turn the ball over 4 to 5 times and expect to win games. Any game, especially in the SEC, on the road, or even at home. So yeah, definitely the surprise of the weekend for us. You look at Vandy now. They've got Georgia State this week, and then Utah State. I mean, they're 90% something chance or better to be undefeated coming to Tuscaloosa to play Alabama here in early October. I mean, man, what a game that's going to be like. Win or lose for Alabama in that Georgia game, man, as you saw last year, you saw in Nashville, man, you better get ready because this Vandy team's better than last year, honestly. So,
sure.
No, I mean it's a really good football team. I mean, and I felt pretty good about them coming into the year. Like I wasn't necessarily down on them, but I mean sometimes teams take the next step and some don't. Like Vandy clearly looks like they've taken the next step. Clemson, who returned a lot, did not take the next step. You know what I mean? So it's like you just never know how it's going to go, I think. And I'm the same way, too. I think you get into this habit of blindly assuming just because teams return a bunch of starters that they're automatically going to be better. And that's not always the case. Sometimes you kind of are what you are. And this Vandy team doesn't look like they are what they are. Like they look like they took the next step in the offseason and have gotten even better. And they're not even catching people by surprise this year. I think they maybe had that advantage a little bit last year. They're not sneaking up on anybody this year. They didn't sneak up on South Carolina, and it just flat out didn't matter.
Yeah, they just whipped them up and down the field. I mean, straight up. Moving into the week 4, I think the biggest game of the week, Auburn's going to Norman, Oklahoma. Both teams are undefeated. Jackson Arnold's returning to his former team and their stadium. Oklahoma's a 6.5-point favorite. I'm hearing lots of Oklahoma fans and lots of Oklahoma beat writers and reporters talking about how much they like Oklahoma. I'm going to be honest. I think Oklahoma's probably going to win this game, but I think that Auburn's getting disrespected a little bit. They're saying they're going to win by 13 to 17 points is what I'm hearing from some people. The line's at 6.5. I think it's going to be a close ball game. I think that line's about right. I think Oklahoma wins by 3 to 7 points. I think it's going to be a higher scoring ball game, over under 47.5. I would take that over. I think both of these offenses are going to score. With the way Auburn's defense has been looking recently, mainly the secondary. The front seven looks okay, but mainly the secondary. I feel like John Mateer probably going to have a good day. He's going to get his numbers for sure. He's just that type of player. He's going to get his. The question is, can Auburn answer on offense? I think so far they've shown they can. I think Auburn's going to be fine on offense. They've ran the ball extremely well. When the pass is there, they've thrown it well. Jackson Arnold has done a great job of taking what defenses have given him. He gets down early, he protects himself, he makes great decisions and has been so far. So I truly do think that I would give the edge to Oklahoma because it's at home. Their defense is really, really good. I'd give them a slight edge at quarterback going in. But I don't think any of them's by much. I would take Oklahoma to win this game, but I think it's going to be a really, really close ball game. Wouldn't shock me if Auburn covers, but I do think that Oklahoma wins, but I'm staying away from the line, taking the over 47.5.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the line's about right, honestly. I just think with it being in Norman, what you know of Brent Venables, and I think you got to figure it's a little bit of advantage too. I mean, with Jackson Arnold coming back, with that being the quarterback coming back in, Brent Venables, as good of a defensive mind, as good at putting game plans together as he is, you got to figure that's going to be, a good advantage for Oklahoma there and being in Norman. But I'm like you though.
For sure, yeah.
I'm like you though. I think it's a close game. Like I'm not seeing a 17-point beat down or anything like that. I think it's going to be a very, very competitive game. As far as over under, I feel like it's maybe right around there. I mean, you like I said, you watch more Auburn's defense than I have certainly. I think I'm feeling like maybe a 27-24, 27-20, something along that.
That's about what I think it's going to be, something like that.
Yeah, I do think there's going to be a little bit of scoring, but I think both teams are going to want to run the ball a little bit for sure. And obviously with the new clock rules too, it does make the over-unders a little tricky because, games are going by a little, faster than they have in the past. And I try not to take over-unders unless I feel like super-duper strong about it. But I do. I'm kind of feeling the same lines you are around this game. I think Oklahoma wins. It's just, I think if this game was in Auburn, I might feel differently. But I just think with it being in Norman, the way the Oklahoma defense is playing, and the way John Mateer is playing football right now, they're playing really, really confident. And so is Auburn. But I think I got to give the edge to Oklahoma. I think, like you said, one-score game, about a touchdown. I think the line's about on the number, to be honest.
100%. I think what keeps it close for Auburn is Mateer. He's a little aggressive with the football. He's turned it over a couple times already this season, so I think that's what allows Auburn to stick around and keep it close, is they'll get a turnover, an interception or something along those lines. I think that's what allows Auburn to stick around close, but I still think Oklahoma's going to win the game. I think they have the advantage at more parts than Auburn does going into this game. And then going back to a team we covered a little bit ago, South Carolina's going into Missouri. Missouri is a 10.5-point favorite. I don't know if Lenore Sellers is going to play this weekend. He's in a concussion protocol. I haven't seen if he's been cleared to play or not. I would assume he's not going to be cleared to play a week later. I could be wrong. I haven't seen anything. Missouri's a 10.5-point favorite at home. I like Missouri to cover this spread, to be honest with you. If Doty's going to be the quarterback, I like Missouri to cover this spread.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting today, and now this is the opposing coach, so take it with a grain of salt. But Eli Drinkwitz today, he said that he is anticipating Lenore Sellers playing, which is what I would expect him to say. So I'm not shocked by that comment at all. So yeah, I don't know. He definitely seems to be questionable. I haven't heard an official word. The injury report comes out on Wednesday night, so we should get a little bit more clarity, and hopefully we'll have a little bit more clarity by the time you guys are listening to this. At this point, this is Tuesday nights. Yeah, I'm like you. I definitely think Missouri wins here. The way Bo Preview is playing as well, just playing some great football, not being talked about a whole lot either. Other than Kansas, haven't played in really any big games yet. Excited to see it. Hopefully Lenore will be able to play. That'll make it a lot more interesting for sure. But yeah, if he's not playing, yeah, Missouri by by a pretty good number. But if he is, think it could be closer. Number could be about right, but hopefully we'll have a little bit more clarity as the week progresses.
And then the last big game in conference, or for a conference team this week, Florida's taking on Miami. Miami's a 7.5-point favorite. Over under is 51.5. The line scares me, but the over under, the total is what I like. I like under 51.5. I really like Florida's defense. I really, really do. Miami's going to get their points, but I don't think that they're just going to light up the scoreboard against this Florida defense, because they are able to play some big boy ball. The question is, can Florida's offense be able to match and score with Miami's defense whenever they answer Miami? I don't think that's the case from what we've seen so far. So I like Miami, winning somewhere in the likes of 31-14, something like that. I just think the under is going to be 51.5 or below.
Yeah, I like Miami in this game. Kind of like I said a week ago. I mean, you can never predict turnovers, but I don't trust Florida's offense right now to go on the road, especially and win a game of this caliber, and especially the way Miami's playing. They're playing great complementary football right now. On both sides of the ball, they look like one of the better teams in the country at the moment. Carson Beck's playing amazing ball. They got a really good defensive line as well. So I think Florida keeps it close, especially if they can drastically cut the turnovers from a week ago. But I just don't have any confidence in their offense right now to be able to go in on the road and pull this type of game off. I think it's fairly close, but I like Miami. Last game I wanted to talk about, kind of under the radar, slipping through, and I want to issue a warning to the Ole Miss Rebels. You got Tulane coming to town, man. This is classic look ahead spot. This has got that, I don't even say trap game feel. It is a trap game. It's what it is. You could not put it in more of a trap on the schedule. Right after your SEC opener at home, get a one possession win against Arkansas. Got Tulane coming in 3-0, one of the better group of 5 teams in the country. John Summerall is a great coach. He's going to be coaching Power 4 football sooner rather than later.
Got Retzlaff at quarterback.
Yeah, this is a really good team, and if you're Ole Miss, your quarterback situation, which Trinidad played outstanding, so I don't think you got a huge question there. But Lane Kiffin anticipates Austin Simmons playing this week, but we'll see as the week goes on, or we'll see by Saturday. But you got LSU coming in next week, a potential top 10 matchup at the Vault. Man, I just see a look ahead, a letdown spot here. So I'm saying this because I don't want Ole Miss to get USF'd, and no pun intended on that. I don't want them to suffer the fate that Florida suffered just last week. So yeah, just be careful with Tulane, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is the better team. They should win this game, but please be careful.
Ole Miss is favored 11.5. Do you think Ole Miss covers?
Man, that's so tough to say. It's such a trap. The line is also a trap. So I think I'm sidestepping this trap is what I'm gonna do. I'm watching it. I'm gonna watch it, but man, I don't know, man. I could see it either way. I could absolutely see Tulane keeping it close. It scares me for Ole Miss. If my team was in the spot, I'd feel the same way. But just be careful. But that's one I'm keeping my eye on as well.
Absolutely.
Really just appreciate everyone tuning in. Just been unbelievable 3 weeks of college football so far, especially week 3 and week 4. Got some other great games, both within the SEC and non-conference. Look forward to Michigan, Nebraska, an interesting game as well in the non-conference, a couple other ones. But just a slight preview to week 5. I don't see how the week 5's not going to be up there with one of the best weeks of the year. It is, oh my gosh. If you thought this show was loaded, whoo, man, the next 2 weeks, please tune in because, we've got more good games than time in the clock to cover. It's gonna be unbelievable. But just appreciate you guys tuning in. TikTok channel's doing great. Appreciate all the likes, the views, the comments over there has been great. Same thing on the YouTube channel. Been posting a lot of shorts. You guys have been very vocal when we get a game wrong. So
Yes.
that is very, which is fine. Hey, appreciate it. Hold us accountable.
Let us hear it.
Let us hear it, but also feel free to comment on the ones we get right, because we have gotten some right as well. So just remember that. But no, we appreciate all the traffic. It's been doing great. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that a ton. Hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys enjoy another great Saturday in the SEC, and we'll catch you back here next week.
Thank you, guys.